Good evening. I am André Blais, a political scientist at the University of Montreal. Tonight I'm going to talk about voting systems, but also, and most importantly, about the need to innovate with regard to the way we vote and the way votes are counted. If you believe in democracy, you would agree that having free and fair elections is absolutely fundamental. You will also agree, I hope, that we need to reflect on how we vote and how these votes are counted. That is our voting system. The voting system that we have in Canada is first past the post. We vote for one candidate, and the candidate with most votes wins. This is the way we vote everywhere in Canada, at all levels, federal, provincial, municipal. This is also how we voted at the beginning of Confederation. In the past, there have been a few short-lived experiments with alternative systems in BC, Alberta, and Manitoba, but this was a long time ago. The bottom line is we vote the same way we voted more than 100 years ago. So no innovation here, no innovation. It's clear. But there has been a very interesting innovation in the process of electoral reform. In BC in 2003 and in Ontario in 2006, the provincial government established a citizen assembly with a mandate to propose what would be the best electoral system for the province. The members of the assembly, there were about 100 of them in Ontario and 160 in BC, were randomly selected through a lottery. They were lucky losers as well. These citizens learned about different voting systems. They consulted, they deliberated, and they proposed a new system. In British Columbia, they proposed a single transferable vote, and in Ontario, they proposed a mixed-member proportional representation. In each case, they were held by a research team, which played a major role in the learning process. The assembly members were informed about the different types of electoral systems, what we know and don't know about their potential consequences, their advantages and disadvantages. In the end, both assemblies recommended innovation, a new electoral system. Both proposals were turned down in a referendum. Why were these proposals for change turned down? There are many, many reasons. I just want to mention one. Assembly members were exposed to research while the public wasn't. Partly because that the assembly members were more open to change than most citizens. I think there was more, interest in innovation. In this instance, like in many other situations, exposure to research facilitates openness to innovation. Where do we go from here? Dozens of different voting systems exist around the world. I find it very hard to believe that a system that was adopted more than a century ago in a completely different context is the best option for Canada, for every province, and for every municipality. There are compelling reasons to experiment with other ways of voting and counting votes. But there have been many attempts at electoral reform recently in many provinces as well as the federal level, and they have all failed. Are there lessons to be drawn about how innovation could occur? I think so. The first lesson is that electoral reform could or should occur at the municipal level. Take Ontario. The province allows municipalities that wish so to implement internet voting for their local elections. About half the municipalities in Ontario do so. Research is being conducted about the consequences of internet voting, most especially whether it increases turnout or not. This is the way to go. Let's experiment. We could do the same with voting systems. Let's try proportional representation in a few municipalities, and let's look at how it works. This is how electoral reform is proceeding in the US. The main innovation there is ranked choice. Voters rank the candidates. If there are 4 candidates, they indicate their first, second, third, and fourth choice. Ranked choice is used now in about 50 American cities, most especially New York, Minneapolis, and San Francisco. There are debates about its merits and limits. There are referenda, with reform sometimes winning, sometimes losing. Provincial governments should encourage municipalities that wish to do so, to innovate, to experiment new voting systems. And the municipality should request from their provincial government the right and the opportunity to experiment new ways of voting. The other lesson I draw concerns the type of electoral system. In Canada, reform advocates have argued in favor of proportional representation, that is a system where parties' seat share corresponds to their vote share. The focus has been on how votes are counted. There has been much less discussion about how people cast their vote. Right now, people vote for one single candidate. Another option is that they vote for all the candidates that they like or approve, which is called approval voting. Or they can rank them from the first choice to the last choice. Or they could give each candidate a score of +1, 0, or -1. There are dozens of ways for voters to express their views about the candidates and the parties. The existing system provides very poor and limited information about voters' preferences. As a voter, I'm not allowed to indicate that I would like to support not one candidate, but 3 or 4 of them. I'm not allowed to identify which candidates I find completely unacceptable. Many alternative systems provide much richer information than the existing first past the post. Governments are keen to foster innovation. We need to foster innovation in the very infrastructure of our democracy. Why not innovate in the very basics of our election, that is, how we cast our votes? Thank you for your attention.